Things have been different for me over the past few weeks. First and foremost, something that I've realized is I have not been interacting with many people socially where already there was a layer of disconnection because I would be talking to people online. But over the past couple of weeks, I haven't even been part of these groups. Mostly I would be part of language exchange where I'd be studying German. But I was at a point where I could not understand things to a degree where I was really, really frustrated with the lack of progress I was making. So I redoubled my efforts on studying flashcards and on reading and studying with the Link program that I have a subscription to. And I've made significant progress with improving my German, but at the cost of the exposure of being around a lot of German. And it's not just being around the language, it's also being around the people that I would talk with, which that's a bit of a mixed bag because it's an informal social event where we would be talking about whatever comes to mind at the conversation table there. And it's not solely academic focused, but there is a very significant part of socialization that goes on there. And that's something that, as I've changed the way that I've approached studying, that has left an impact on my social life. And that's also left an impact on just how I feel day to day. And I know without those silly day-to-day interactions, the days just feel much heavier. I don't know how to put it in another nice way. So it's been tough to stay focused on anything. Even the last couple of days when I've been at my job, I've just not been there totally. And this is something that I've struggled with massively for years and years on end, where I'm doing some kind of task, but I'm not there. And I want to be able to recover to fully be there, to fully be in the moment. But that cannot happen in isolation. But then isolation is not truly in your control because it takes two to tango, so to speak. You need to be in a situation that allows for regular positive socialization. And these are ideas that I keep writing about again and again, but they're things that I do not have control over in my physical life of physically being able to physically be around people who care about me. That's a difficulty. And a lot of people are in that situation. In no way am I claiming to be unique or, oh, woe is me, or look at me because I'm so pitiful or anything. Not in any way, shape, or form do I want to give that message at all. It's important to recognize there's a lot of humanity being drained from our lives because of just the way that modernity is. And the ideas that weigh on our mind the most are things that are the most significant for us to express. And so when I have these difficulties, these are things that are in my mind, and these are things that come out in my writing time and time again about just the importance of human connection. It's like a perennial theme. Well, one more thing. I realized that because I haven't been talking to people regularly for the last few weeks, that the way I project my voice, I lost that. I'm like, wait, how do I talk? How do I project my voice in a way that gets emotion across? Because I do have a quote unquote normal speaking voice. Everyone has a normal speaking voice. But the thing is, there's a difference between just doing something and not thinking about it and then doing something deliberately. It's like if you're really exhausted and you're speaking in a way that's not the normal way that you would talk. That's not your natural voice. You're in some state of mind that is changing the way that you are able to talk from how you actually are. And I realized I was in that situation, to say it in a rude way, being socially deprived in a rather severe way, that changed my way of speaking when I was trying to do these recordings before, and I actually had to warm up back into speaking again. And I apologize if you hear the rattling of the pen that I'm holding in my hand. That's something that maybe it'll just give a bit of emphasis and character into this episode. Anyway, I had to warm back up to that. And listening to myself back when I'm just doing audio tests, I go, that doesn't sound like me. There's something that's missing from here because I've done audio recording before. I've done editing my own voice before. I know what I should sound like. And I know how to get emotion across in my voice. But there was just this deadness to it all that was extremely startling for me to look back on. I hope that I do not get into such a state of mind again, but if I did, I would save those recordings and maybe I'm real iffy about, would I want to put that out there because that would permanently change someone's image of me, the way that I sounded in that. When you're not at your peak performance, you're vulnerable, and that's something, there's nothing more disgusting something than a vulnerable man. That's just part of culture. That's just part of human nature. That's something that is a significant theme that I'm exploring in one of my books, is the disposability of humanity, but it's mostly the disposability of men, because women have inherent value for various reasons, both cultural and biological. And it's controversial, whatever. It's like, yeah, I'm going to hit on something controversial, because if something's not controversial, and it's not worth talking about. If you are not talking about something controversial, you're talking about something that's meaningless. And I cannot write about something that is pointless to me. That concept does not compute. And this is something that I've also had a bit of internal conflict with when it comes to writing to market, because you're supposed to write to tropes so that people know what to expect. And then you build up a series that's based around the same things, that you have regular readership and a higher read-through rate, and then you have a regular audience that will reliably purchase your books. And that's a good marketing strategy right there. Build up expectations, then have people know what to expect from your books. But that's narrowing you from exploring a wide range of ideas. And the thing that I realized, one, the average person does not write that much. A lot of people don't read that much, and literacy rates are another issue entirely. But for me personally, there's a kind of expression that comes from writing that I am not able to engage in verbally, because there's lots of room for exploration of logic, for one thing, but also of developing meaningfulness. And that's something where I realize that when I'm in conversations that I'm extremely impulsive, largely because of my lack of... I realize that I'm not able to express myself very easily or very truly. And that's not saying that I'm dishonest with the way that I'm talking. It's that I'm not able to express my true emotions with the limitations that I have in verbal communication. And the way that I am able to express something meaningful it's rather constrained. I hesitate to say that it's worsening, because my verbal communication opportunities, my ability to just talk with people casually or whatever, I've been neglecting that, and I want to focus so much more on getting stuff done with books and publishing, but that takes so much time, and I've been pouring hours and hours into that over the past few months, that it's really been changing my personality. And that's not like, oh, you crazy girl, schizophrenic or something. No, it's that if you are engaged in a regular habitual activity that puts a lot of stress on you, that is going to change the way that you think day to day. I am extremely exhausted. I have been extremely exhausted for these past few weeks, and I've been extremely frustrated throughout a lot of it as well. And I realize that this is something that I need to change things up from the way that they are going right now in order to maintain a healthy lifestyle moving forward. But that's part of why I am doing these recordings, is to be able to express something that's meaningful in a way so that I can overcome that. Expressing something meaningful so that you can move on to doing something meaningful. So I hope to be moving forward with that. I've limited myself in terms of hours. I try to stop myself at 3 hours, but I've been doing from 3 to 5 hours every day of writing, and that's not bad, but in terms of progress, I still predictably average about 1,000 words an hour, so I'm not meeting my objective of trying to reach 5,000 words in a day, which I have hit a couple of days from working 5 hours. Well, I had to work, it's about 6 hours once I extended out there because hiccups and such. Whatever. It takes me about 5 or 6 hours to write 5,000 words. I'm not going to hold that to the standard. 3 hours of work is a better thing for me to manage. And quick side note, I realize how much mental whiplash I suffer from when I'm studying a language. Like if I'm studying German and then I try to move over immediately to doing a session for editing in English, of course. I can't write in German yet. And I'm already mentally exhausted, mentally saturated from studying vocabulary for a half hour, let's say, where I just need to rest after that. But there's such a terrible feeling of restlessness of I don't have work done yet that needs to get done, but I can't focus to get the work done that I need to get done so that I'll be able to focus again. It's a terrible feeling of genuine frustration, which I absolve through conversation like this, even if I am just speaking to a recording. So I have a nonfiction book that I am slogging through, that I've been slogging through for months for editing. And that's not to complain about or whatever. It's that I do feel a sense of disappointment in that I'm not able to stay enthusiastic about editing through something. But if I'm not enjoying it, then what the fuck am I even doing it for? It's not like... If it is causing me a sense of suffering to suffer through the editing process, then I'm not going to push myself to do that. The whole purpose of why I write is to express something meaningful, to give myself more slack so that I am not at the end of my rope. And as you can tell from my tone of voice and from how I'm going through with this, that I am genuinely frustrated with my position in life. I'm genuinely frustrated with how life has been going. I'm not going to hide that. All the fucking time, whenever I interact with someone, you have to hide these real emotions all the fucking time. And I am sick of that. That is the worst thing that has contributed to making me feel so sick, is not having someone there that I can just open up about and say, you know what, shit's fucked. And I feel pretty fucked for it. Having someone that's by your side that can share a beer with you and be like, yeah, shit's fucked, all right. And just understand you and just care in that sense of letting you vent and not being a little bitch about, well, you need to have a better sense of self-control. You need to get your act together. You need to pull yourself up by the boots. Shut the fuck up about your bootstraps, you fucking idiot. Having someone that would be able to mock these assholes that would say, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, you need to get your shit together and everything. You know what? Maybe you should acknowledge that another person is suffering before you start criticizing that suffering, because you don't know what it's like to suffer in that particular way. It doesn't fucking matter even comparing it. This person is a human being and is going through their own human experience, and you're not recognizing them for that at all. You don't have to, but you're a fucking asshole that he's not going to hang around if you treat him like a fucking cog in a machine that has to keep fucking working and his only value to anything is productivity or some shit like that. Fuck that. There's a lot of emotional consternation. How the fuck do I even express? A lot of people feel a lot of frustration in their lives and they don't have an outlet. They don't have a way to express it, to be genuine. I think that's another really big reason why a lot of people struggle to write convincing emotional scenes. They are disconnected from what is genuine emotion. They are constantly focused on how can I present myself in a pleasant way, or how can I present myself in a way that would get the most followers or get the most likes. It's in this completely artificial social media world. Genuine emotion doesn't gain popularity. It's kind of like some of the rules of propaganda. You don't tell people the news. You tell people what they want to hear, and then people will watch you. Social media is that cranked up to 11 with narcissism involved. But at the same time, it's still possible to put your real emotions out there. It's not going to be popular or politically correct, but I just think that's something that we should be more in connection with, that we should be more honest about our own emotions and accepting that other people have genuine emotions when they are engaging in good faith. There's a lot of anxiety around expressing any opinion whatsoever in the public square. And there's this big contrast that where we have so much social exposure, we are over-socialized, but we lack substance in the relationships that we have, where we don't have people that we can just open up to in an honest manner. It's not at all conventional what I'm doing here of just talking about my emotions. In one sense, it is conventional, and like this is the traditional vlog format, just ranting into a microphone. But in another way, how things have shifted over the years to become so disingenuous. This is something that, well, what's the purpose for screaming out into the void? It's to exercise your lungs, if nothing else. So that's why I take a deep breath and keep moving on. I need to get my cardio in. I need to get some emotional cardio in. I'm not going to go full Alex Jones with, they're turning the frogs gay. But having that level of emotion and that level of intensity in things, that's an important part of the human experience, is sharing significant emotions with others. And if you are just going through your job where there's not emotional expression or anything that's going on, that weighs down on you like a ton of bricks, and it makes you absolutely miserable. At least I know in my situation that's untenable. So I need emotional expression in my life. Like I need air to breathe. I'm not trying to be melodramatic or anything there. I'm saying it's fundamental for being a human being. I struggle to really capture the importance of being able to give this kind of honest emotional expression, because it's not just, oh, it's good mental health. It's you are not yourself if you have to bottle things up, and you might not even know that you're bottling things up because of just being distant from others. You're not in an environment that would be a natural human environment where you're surrounded by other people that you have been familiar with for years and that you have regular positive social contact with, even if that's just seeing a neighbor smiling face as you're walking down the street and having a sense of community, having a sense of familiarity. We have a sense of familiarity to like the physical things that are around us, but not to the people that are around us, not to the experiences that are around us. There's a disconnection from ourselves and the real world. That gets into a lot of abstractions that a lot of people can't relate to, but there's still that fundamental kernel of truth. There's that fundamental core where there's this longing for genuineness that is very, very rare to find. And I hope to capture some aspect of that core of genuineness in just speaking my mind here.